Why doesn't anyone want to live anymore? Too much focus on money these days. Too much focus on the future instead of the present. Tune into Facebook and you will get hit with shorts from people like Dave Ramsey, who claim that you should save every cent and drive beta cars until you are 75. The advice isn't horrible, except it ignores living in the now. In the pursuit of wealth, so many people choose to be miserable. Is it smart to save money? Yes. Invest it? Yes. But don't nickel and dime yourself for every penny you make. Take that trip. Go to the zoo with your kids. Make memories today. Because my mother's needs come before my own in my family, meaning I can't have my own family. Cal needs come before her own child thriving, so I can't get medication, and a doctor told me I have to have key ovary removed over a cyst. Instead of being diligent and going in and removing the cyst. Basically, it boils down to the fact that I'm being abused under the guise that something great will come along in just my parents' doll to order around and marry off for favors. Nothing has ever happened to my life that is great, so I'd rather die than I ever did. 2 little weenie dogs. A good paying job where I can choose my hours. Ride or die friends. A large and loving family. Great grades. And a clear path towards a white-collar career. I'm so tired though, and experience tells me that something will always go to shit, so living is just one giant paranoia party about when I'm going to crash and burn. It's taken all my energy to maintain this level of living, and I just don't know how long I can manage it. Existential dread and doom sets in young now. As a child, an entire generation is told the planet is dying because of human greed, and you have no future. Furthermore, if the world does continue on without getting too hot, most of us will never come close to enjoying the luxuries our young parents got, because we are paying for everybody else's mistakes. Not to mention the world as a whole is in an incredible amount of debt. It's hard to find a will to live. All that said, I hope you have a nice day today. I would say the title is going a bit too far. There are plenty of people with a will to live. As for those who don't have it, I think it's usually one of two things. A fool summits genuine problems, like big financial challenges, or loneliness, etc. B for others, it's mouse utopia. When you make things really good for people, they'll ruin it for themselves or others. Some will ruin it for others by becoming gangsters. Others will ruin it for themselves by losing the will to live and do anything. Generalizing. Not everybody has this feeling. However, to respond, these feelings might be amplified by the complexity of modern life, which includes existential challenges, mental health problems, and social isolation. To address these emotions, it's critical to look for help and have discussions about mental health and well-being with specialists. If you need help, try to find someone in your real life nearby, some psychologist or psychoanalytic. Iron ships. I have zero drive to go out of my way and date people. Haven't in years. Not very close with family and they're alcoholics. I live in a slum apartment. My grandpa passed away about a year ago. About the only joy I get out of life is doing my hobbies, which are expensive and time-consuming. I didn't hear no bell though. Because being alive during the modern era is crap. Robots are creating soulless art and eliminating jobs that humans desperately need to survive. I spend half my paycheck on rent and the other half on for blueberries. And we're all addicted to tiny pocket computers that make us sad all the time. We've ruined everything under the guise of convenience, and subsequently made living 100 times more complicated than it was ever meant to be. It's fantastic, because the world frankly sucks. Every day there are new laws to make some small minority suffer even more, and make poor people even more miserable. The more minorities you're part of, the more this world sucks. If you're a well-off, healthy, middle-aged white cishet man, your world is almost totally different from a poor, autistic, black, gay, trans woman. Most people don't even realize how much difference it makes to belong to multiple minorities. Humans aren't meant for today's world mentally. Working together in social groups through physical tasks is what we need desire. In much of the developed world, suicide rates are increasing as we see more and more people become walled in. We all have less friends on average. interact with less people, and bombard ourselves with terrible news from around the world, fake images of how our lives suck compared to everyone else. Living well costs money. I do not have money, therefore, I cannot live well. Barely living costs less money. But barely living is eventually tiring and miserable. One who is tired and miserable wishes either for improvement or an end to their suffering. The hope of improvement, without success, is either delusion and cannot be relied upon, or eventually exhausted. If improvement is untenable, an end is desired. I wish I could test out death for a few days. Kinda like visiting an area you think you might want to move to. Sure, day 1 is going to be full of surprises. A day 3 could be really ho-hum, and then you realize, nah, this isn't the place for me. I feel like death could be the same. You die, find out what the afterlife actually holds for you, and then decide if you want to go back or just stay in the afterlife. Because for a lot of us, it's extremely unpleasant. Living in constant fear is exhausting and causes your brain to change. Humans have a strong survival instinct, but it's been well documented that humans can reach a point where they've had enough. Of course, everyone who's jumped off a bridge and survived says the instant they jumped, they desperately regretted it. Death is a way to deal with all your problems all at once. I worked in nursing homes for several years in my 20s though, and met several people who tried and failed at suicide. Media always acts like it either 100 success or 100 failure, when really, as a number of people who paralyze themselves gun-fry their brains, but the body works fine, drugs and worse. I want to live. I want to develop my country, have a family too. I have a vision for the future. Most people who don't want to live are single and meaningless lives, unfortunately. It's pity they just want to have fun or nothing type of mindset. Pain acceptance and facing challenges is important, and sad to say most men act like girls now. Lack of purpose. If I was working 40 hours and hated my job, not a chance life would be great. That I'd love life if I was working 100 hours a week towards my goal purpose. Also, we take a lot for granted. People starving to death will never cry about existing, as their purpose is filed down to just finding their next meal. He said I didn't. I'm more alive now than when I was a teenager or young adult. It was many in the graduating class of '08 at Westminster High School in Westminster. You can go to hell for the incessant bullying where I almost did kill myself. Luckily I did not. You're living in an online bubble. Lots of us are enjoying life and the world in general. My fiancé and I both with hard, stressful jobs, but we also spend as much time together doing whatever we desire when we aren't working. Life is really good. Fewer married people, fewer parents, fewer religious people, fewer people owning houses, land, fewer people who believe the government is for them. I think that these days, many more individuals don't have a why obligation to remain long-term. I stay alive to be there and watch the world burn when the rich vermin ruining our planet shall suffer as the rest of us, and see that their money does not save them from the destruction of this planet. Let them burn as the rest of us. Social media has bred a culture of individualistic, pleasure-seeking, hedonistic narcissism, and it's led to a large-scale lack of meaning for most people. Along with that, true social connection has been replaced, wildly unsuccessfully. Internet bubbles of pessimism where everyone hates themselves and they reject any external help because it doesn't fit with the identity they've built in the toxic corner of the internet. Frequent, too expensive. Most of our mental health is shit that we need to make fucked up jokes to cope. Feels like no one gives a damn about Gen Z with the state America is in. Some of our parents are just assholes, so that's one. I could go on. It's not about want. It's about the difficulty required to make it happen. The second we're born, we require a base level of economic need to survive, which will eventually be our responsibility to provide. I didn't ask for that. It's too expensive to be able to enjoy it as much as I'd like. You're forced to slave away for half of your week to still barely be able to afford a nice vacation if you have the time to take one. The economy is dog shit too. I know, right? The world's richest one have increased their wealth since 2020. If you're unhappy, you're one. Not part of the one. Or point 2. Not excited to contribute your time, wealth and overall health to these lustrous few. I want to live. Believe me, but it's too expensive. I have all of these grand ideas about the things I can do with my life, but, you know, I gotta eat, and have a roof over my head, and have a car to drive, to work. I've had too much physical pain, mental pain, deaths, surgeries, addictions, bipolar. Too much. I don't enjoy anything. I am filled with anger and hate at all my past therapists and doctors for just making me worse. I actually do want to live. I didn't used to. But I found things that made my life worth living, changed my outlook and worked on myself and my situation. Now I no longer feel like I could give up on life anymore. 'Cause there wasn't a leprechaun at the end of the rainbow. As a matter of fact, there isn't even an end to a rainbow. Tragic discovery that caused severe depression for a lot of us, still suffering up to this day. As a man, there is no such thing as fighting with unknown and exploring something new. And because that game appears more, I hope virtual reality becomes reality so we can fight with real dragons. I love my life and I want to live. For others, I think mental problems are rampant these days and are exacerbated due to the current financial crisis plaguing many nations worldwide. The planet is literally burning, and there's nothing we can do to stop it because companies will stop producing once there's a global apocalypse only, and there's nowhere to escape. Every damn thing costs way too much. Life's little luxuries are being stripped away from us one by corporate lobbyists for their rest until the only time we leave is to serve.